All right, My Way Journeys. It has been a complete year of ideation and travels and some concepts of what we could do if we wanted to travel. And maybe I've sparked some interest for you. But so let's get into here. What and where did we go in 52 weeks? And it has been a busy time overall. And I really had some great met some great people, had some great food, had some great drink over the course of the 52 weeks in itself. So as we look at my YouTube playlist, I do try to build these by state or country, so you do see some repetitive, journey ones in there. In that I do live in New Hampshire, so I do tend to, I started here, and as the van build goes, I will start going out further and doing more road trips as we do that. As I want to, my goal is to see as much of the United States as I possibly can, and then go into Canada as well. But we started off last year with, of doing the notches. I had been up into the notches of New Hampshire. Really a great area to visit. You could plan a single day to do one of the notches, or maybe even plan a vacation around it and do all of the notches. There's certainly some times of the year that are more picturesque that you may find a better time to visit. The fall, especially in Franconia Notch, it has gotten really um, over traveled in certain times. So, but it does not diminish that any one of the seasons in the notches is phenomenal. Even in the winter time, seeing the ice formations and things like that. Iceland was just an incredible visit. We drove the ring road. We made stops daily. Really took in a lot of the countryside. What a fascinating country. You could do something for a couple of days and stay right in Reykjavik, or like as we did the ring road and went around there. But just again, some great food, great scenery. Just looks like something of a foreign planet in some places of the old lava flows. Hadrian's Wall was a big bucket list for me. It was something I wanted to hike, and so literally we made our way to Newcastle on Tyne and made our way right across Hadrian's Wall path over the course of a week. Just some great scenery and the wall, and just thinking about the timing and what it would have taken to have built those walls to the heights. Now, much of the wall has been taken down and repurposed over the hundreds of years that have gone by. Now they're protected, but just imagining the height of, saying, a wall, 10 feet, 12 feet high, and then you see just the base of what's left, really can spark the imagination of just how tall and how much rock was needed in order to do those. Then we jumped into, kind of like a city view there in Journey 4, with going into the old Amoskeag mills and kind of seeing what they've become from what they were, and how they've been really repurposed in that space. The trip out to Yellowstone, Yellowstone is Yellowstone. You can go there a couple of times and do different things, or start from different places. So on that trip, I stayed outside of the park, and so that meant I needed to drive into the park every day, and that is an option. And definitely affordability of staying outside of the park does make it, but you do have to. It is a trade-off of, you need to drive into the park, which it's kind of 45 minutes, to get to one point, 45 minutes to get to the next point. It is an enormous park, folks. It definitely, if you can camp inside, or stay at one of the many hotel lodges that are in the park, that I would recommend you could do that as well. It just wasn't cost beneficial for me on that particular trip. I was traveling with some family, so we were going to need multiple rooms, and it just, by staying out and renting a house, it was a much more affordable option by staying outside of the park, having a whole house and being able to have downtime and leisure time in a house and not being in a hotel. So there was a trade-off there. Next time I go back, gonna camp on property. Hopefully my van will be done, and we're gonna go in and we're gonna stay at one of the campsites there inside of the park, and then just really take the advantage of being in the park. And I think that will be a phenomenal experience. Um, as I ventured in with Journey 6, hiking the Camino de Santiago, one of my favorite areas of Europe to visit. I've hiked the Camino de Santiago in different sections. I've been there 5 times. I plan to go back again. Hopefully in 2027 might be the next visit. I don't know. I'm planning and looking and seeing how it goes. Um, and then we jumped over to Yosemite and Sequoia, two just phenomenal parks. um you see in pictures, or people talk about the sequoias, and until you're there standing at the base of them, it's just awe-inspiring of how these trees that are just hundreds of years old have endured the time and man. Our naivete of the day, where there was some logging in that space as well, that had happened in the early days, but now that it's a protected space. The Grand Loop, there's what can you say? Between Utah and Arizona, that Grand Loop of, in that trip we came into Salt Lake and out of Salt Lake, so we made the loop. We headed south and then came up around. So, going to Zion, and then to Bryce Canyon, one of my all-time favorite. I think I could go there, once a year. It's just such a phenomenal site there um, at the park there. And then going into Page, Arizona, between the Vermilion Cliffs and the dam, and going down the river, and seeing Horseshoe Bend, but also going out to Capitol Reef, going to Arches. We made the side trip over to Four Corners. Now, Four Corners, some may not think that that's really, if you were tight on time, maybe you wouldn't go there, but it was worth going to stand at the point where four states come together, and the reservation, and really the care that the reservation takes care of that space. Get to meet some of the locals that are there. Well worth it. Going over into Verde, Verde Canyon, again, cliff dwellers, just a lot of historical, um, you know, Indian history of the region, of the different styles of living and temples that were there. Just a really great visit, but plan your time accordingly. If you want to get into a tour in many of the national parks, you need to, if you're planning for today, you may not get into one of the tours, but if you're planning for tomorrow, you can get there early, or be able to sign up the day before, or get in early enough so that you can get a tour in the afternoon. So just be aware of timing in those pieces. With Journey 9, I really focused on, what are things that you can do over time. That just, between state historical markers, to breweries, to thematic, to names, to, world, the seven wonders of the world, depending on what list you're looking at, being able to do some of those. And then in future, we did a couple of those we've been pecking away at some of the breweries here in New England. But took that trip, went around to the different New England Shaker villages. We have one more village to get to out in Kentucky, and I'm really looking forward to that excursion out there. But to get from Maine, New Hampshire, New York, and Massachusetts, and really made a big loop, a couple of day trip out of that with the Shakers, Shaker visits that we did. Um, Out in just looking at the list to see what journey we put that into. But then going to India, I've gone in and out of India many times. Shared some highlights there from a couple of great cities of Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, Agra. You can get into Mysore and some other areas there that is just fascinating. Spent a week out in Death Valley. That was really enjoyable. Again, I stayed outside of the park. I was right there at the end of the season, so the weather was really comfortable. It wasn't too hot. But as toward the end of that trip, it was different parts of the park were getting up to high 90s in some cases. But most of the time, it was in the, you know, 70s, 80s, which was very comfortable. And then going up into the mountains, it was dropping down into the 40s, and I didn't even feel it because the sun was so bright. It was very comfortable one up there. I kind of shared a great old New England Fourth of July parade, which was fun to go down and film there, and then share that with everybody. We did visit a National History Park at St. Gaudens, who he was a sculptor. St. Gaudens was a sculptor, and so we went there and saw his grounds and studios, and from there. We did drive up the Mount Washington Auto Road. What a fun ride that was. We had a beautiful day, met some great people up on top, and then coming back down. That was really great. Out in Arizona, you've got Sedona, which you can make multiple trips to Sedona all on its own. We made some side trips there to the Tuzigoot and Montezuma's castle. Just a phenomenal sight to see that. And then we made a trip up to Wapaki and Sunset Crater. That is really seeing the volcano ground and the remnants from the lava bombs and things like that. Again, just think you're on a different planet from seeing the types of topography and types of stone and things, ash and everything that still remains to this day. Um, we did a hike up to Mount Hale and Zealand Falls hike that we again had some great weather, a little buggy at the top, but we had some great weather when we went up and hiked up that trail, and we turned that into a 2-day trip. You could have easily, gone right up and around all and made the loop in one day, but I decided to stop at Zealand Falls AMC hut. We stayed overnight there, met lots of nice folks and the cabin staff while we were there. As we approach the 250th anniversary, we did go into Boston and we did the Freedom Trail, made our way around to we did the whole trail, but we made our ways on little side stops and had some great food. Had a beautiful day there in the city, walking the trail, which is very easy to do. It's free. You just got to make the time to come in, go there, and walk around and see the city of where kind of pre-Revolutionary War, and as next year we break into the 250th anniversary of America. Mediterranean cities. We traveled into Italy and we went to some great stops in Italy between Naples and Sorrento, into Positano. We also were in the port city, and then we went out to do some wine tasting there while in Italy. Then we moved over to Hania, Greece, and then we also visited Athens. Spent a couple of days there in Athens, and then we went over into Turkey, into Istanbul, and we spent a day over there, and that was a fascinating city all in itself. Between the food, excellent food, the marketplaces, the temples, churches that are there. That was just phenomenal. And we did several days videos there. Went over to the Portsmouth waterfront, and again, we just had a great visit there. We started out by starting at the Albacore Museum, which was a prototype submarine that was used for the future development of future submarines that were developed afterwards, but it was the original design, hull design for some of the nuclear class submarines that have been built since then. Then we moved over into the Strawberry Bank, which is kind of where New Hampshire really got its start from back in the early colonial days. And we went over to Strawberry Bank and we toured through the facility there. Then we went over to the waterfront, the actual waterfront. We took a look at a flat bottom boat, which was very common in that time. of how to get things from the port and then actually get it up the river where it was much shallower. So they use these gondolo style boats to do that. Then we kind of had dinner there and made a day of it. We traveled up to Maine, the lower Maine coast, just above Portland. We visited several lighthouses and had some great food. Went out to Glidden Point and had some fresh oysters. Then we went to a distillery while we were out there, and again had a great visit there. One of my favorites that I've been to a couple of times, which is Andre's Art Park. They have sculptors from all over the world get commissioned to come in and build a sculpture. You can spend a great, couple of hours walking around the park. It was a once one piece of it was a little bit of a quarry, but the main part of the park was a small ski area back in the day, and now they've made the trails twist and wind all through the property. But just some great stone and mixed medium art out there that is there every day. I don't think the park ever closes. It's always there. It's there by donation, and you can walk around there at Andre's Park over in Brookline, New Hampshire. I was traveling for business down in Brazil, and actually took some time and went out to the Brazil do Café plantation. And wow, what an education I got there! I had never seen a coffee plantation before. Really something to take in and see if you've never done it. But the host, the plantation owners, were very receiving, and they took us around up into the different types of how coffee is grown on the side of the hill in more flat areas versus machine picking versus hand picking, and then the different ways that coffee is prepared in itself. Just a different experience getting it that fresh, and having people that know coffee having a cup of coffee and just drinking it black and being a great cup of coffee just the way that it is, without real heavy roasting or having to add anything to it. But that was really good. We finished out the year here just in the last few weeks. We did the Newport, Rhode Island Cliff Walk, just see some of the old grand homes and even some of the refurbished and developed homes that are there in Newport. Going down to the Washington, D.C. Mall, I would say that's a couple of day visit to really take it in. You can rush through it and only get to a couple of things, but between the memorials and then the buildings, the archives building, the Smithsonian buildings, can take your time and not be rushed, and wear a pair of good sneakers. And to get around there and to go into places like the old Torpedo Factory, which is an artist's building that's not reserved for them, but they have different stalls. Maybe I don't know, 50 to 100 artists have different rooms, and they perform their arts and sell their art there in the old Torpedo Factory, and that's just a little bit off of the away from the National Mall. We did a little bit of expansion on some of the adventures over time. We talked about what the differences between national parks, national monuments, and national historical parks. A little bit different. Some of them are more of a day trip, and other things are more of a planned visit. But we broke down what those were. We started out on Journey 22 with starting with the van build. I clearly am, I know how to do all of the work, but I did not film minute by minute the build in part one. I definitely relied on other resources, like, several artists that I mentioned in there, the YouTubers that have done really great videos of documenting every step and shows them doing the actual task. So I felt that kind of that space had a little bit of, I don't want to say saturation, but there was enough people that had great ideation of how to do their van build using an empty shell van, much like what I got was just an empty shell. And so everything in there is all of just what's getting added. And I've been showing and talking about the pieces of how I've been adding certain pieces. But the full how-to, I relied on some of the people that have really broke the ground in that space. We finished out this past week with the New York City 48 hours, especially during the Christmas time, going into Rockefeller Center, going to Times Square, maybe taking in a show or going to the Museum of Fine Arts, and then traveling over to the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island, there from Battery to Battery Park. Just did some great travels there. Hopefully, the ideation, maybe something sparked your desire to go to one of these places. Next year, we did 52 videos this week with 52. We also populate Instagram as well. So between images and reels and shorts and videos, takes quite a bit of time to actually put all that together using footage that I've taken from all of these places. So I may shorten a little bit. It was very intense to stay up with a weekly video with all of those posts across all the spaces. So this year we may shorten it down just a little bit. But wanted just to share some of my favorites from the travels this year, with just kind of showing some pictures of where we went and what we did over a couple of slides. From the Beehive coal furnaces out in Death Valley, to going out to seeing a couple of the mines, going out to the desert there in Death Valley, trying going out to the Shaker villages, and then right below my image here is the lupin season in Sugar Hill, New Hampshire. And again, going up to Augury Point. It's one of those things. I have a story about that one that's definitely worth something with a beer on that trip up to Augury Point, and then going out to some ghost towns and the visits. We did when we were in Boston. We made a couple little side pieces here of Make Way for Ducklings over in the Boston Commons, the Strawberry Bank, Mount Hale, going over to the Tea Party Museum, just kind of reliving that experience and hearing about the pressures of the time that led up to that. To St. Gaudens, over to the Albacore Museum, some shots from Rajasthan, to being at Bunker Hill in itself, going over to the USS Constitution, and then our drive up to Mount Washington, top using the auto road. Being in Svedovecchia, to moving over to some vineyards, seeing some of the old Roman aqueducts, just some great sunsets along the ocean, and the giant staircase, and the crib bridge up in Ors and Bailey Island. This crib bridge, one of a kind in the United States. It's an all granite cribbing stacked bridge that connects the islands there. So, and then lastly, of course, we went into Hania. We saw the old Venetian port, or over in Positano, or going all the way down to the beach there in Positano, being in Sorrento, taking in some areas like Madame Cherry's castle, being in Naples, and being again going down to the Sorrento beaches in itself. So we really made some great trips and had a lot of fun in doing those, and just really worth whether it's a long weekend or a vacation, you could spend individually a week in any one of these places that I've mentioned in itself. We've got the van build, we've got the aqueducts in Turkey, taking an elephant ride up to the Ambar Palace, to being over on Normandy. What a just awe-inspiring sense of understanding the courage that it took to be there on the beaches at low tide. Just the distances that had to have been run. No movie has really shown you the clear distance that had to be made across the sand. They all kind of make it look like they got dropped and then it was maybe 100 feet to the sand dune. Well, it really wasn't that way. It was much longer than that. Here just below me is a cemetery. This is a German cemetery there in Normandy. This one, just you see the smaller footstones. The Germans were buried two to a grave, each of these, and so you see the five crosses that kind of sets the grid work for this cemetery, and it goes all the way around. But just but to be over to the American cemetery, which is very solemn and thought provoking, to be up on the top of the cliffs and to be there at the American cemetery, to going inside of a mosque in Turkey, to being there at the Aramanch, what's the remnants of the floating port that was created post D-Day, to being going around there, to being at the Pegasus Bridge. The bridge that was there during World War II has been moved off to the side due to the damage. There's a new bridge there. But to be there, to over to Hadrian's port in Athens, to being up and actually being at the Acropolis or at the Olympian grounds there in Athens, seeing a banyan tree that is nearly 5 acres. It is just sets its arms out and then it drops a branch down to the ground and then it attaches to the ground and then just kind of keeps growing outward. Very impressive to see that banyan tree. And this one is just outside of Bangalore, India, to going into the marketplace. What a phenomenal experience. We have small, I would call them small markets, garden markets that happen, a day or two a year, but I mean, a day or two a week. But to go into Bangalore, they have two large marketplaces that are open daily. Went down here and spent multiple hours of just walking around here. What you see here in the bottom of this slide is the cane market, as well as where this bananas being sold, and just walking around the market. It's just an enormous area, very interesting to see as a people watcher. It was very fascinating to see all the transactions and the farmers that bring in the goods, that they were physically on the tree the day before and now they're here in the marketplace that very next day. But so just very covered a lot of ground, did a lot of things. Hopefully some of these, again, the ideation, the idea to get you to jump and move and get out and go into New York City, or to travel around the country or travel outside of the country. We'll continue that into next year. So what I want to say is thank you for viewing, and for those of my subscribers, thank you so much. Always looking to have more people join into my YouTube community. But I want to wish everyone a happy holidays and a happy new year as we start, and we'll pick it up again in 20. Okay, well, remember, if you liked the video, please give it that thumbs up or subscribe. We thank you very much for your patronage and watching the videos as we go on all of these different journeys. So thank you and have a great day.